Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at noon, a teenager accused of stabbing a classmate at a Raleigh high school is being charged as an adult. A live report from WRAL's Destiny Patterson is just seconds away.
Plus, dozens of people are demanding charges be dropped against students arrested during pro-Palestinian protests, the ones that happened on UNC Chapel Hill's campus. A look inside the day in court.
And day 2 of deliberations in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. What we know so far as we await the verdict. We begin with breaking news. A teenager accused of stabbing a fellow student at Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School is now charged as an adult. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lovingood in for Jeff Hogan. Thank you for joining us. WRAL's Destiny Patterson just reviewed the court documents. She's joining us live right there outside the school on Rock Quarry Road. Destiny, tell us a little bit more. What did the documentation reveal?
Well, we just got this information just within the last hour. Taekwon General Jr. is accused of killing Devin Farrell back in November here at Southeast Raleigh High School in the gym. If you take a look at this video, you can see General swinging a knife and hitting 2 students. Police say one of those students was 15-year-old Devin Farrell. He died from his injuries. According to court documents, both charges, first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, were initially transferred to Superior Court back in March. This is something District Attorney Lauren Freeman said could happen. General's family did appeal this decision, but a Superior Court judge upheld that decision to try him as an adult last week. General will need to request an arraignment date, or the court will enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Raleigh.
School leaders in Cumberland County are scrambling to find replacements for SROs and crossing guards. That's because the sheriff says he plans to remove them July 1st. The Board of Education discussed the issue this morning at their meeting. Sheriff Enos Wright has sent a letter to the board. He's advising them of his plan. And while the letter didn't outline the reason, insiders say that it's because of an employee shortage. The sheriff says that he will continue to provide the resources for schools in unincorporated part of the county. And we will have a link to Cumberland County Schools presentation about these changes. You can find that on WRAL.com.
It's been 1 month since protesters clashed with police on UNC's campus in Chapel Hill. 6 of those protesters arrested made their first court appearance in Orange County today. WRAL's Sean Gallagher was there. And Sean, it looks like there was quite a turnout.
Yeah, Renee, there were more than 50 supporters of these pro-Palestinian protesters who were making their first appearance. You can see here behind me, still a few of them that are left here sharing their message, sharing some food on this day. Now, the group of protesters facing a number of charges for trespassing and a few for assault charges as well. Now, the group filled up the benches in the gallery of the Orange County courtroom today, some with Palestinian flag buttons on their lapels, clearly trying to keep their message the focus rather than these arrests. The group of 6 were never called up before the court. Judge Todd Roper called the attorneys into his chambers to continue these cases until July 30th to get more evidence. And attorneys for the protesters spoke afterwards about the case and the number of supporters here.
You think this was a blatant First Amendment, 14th Amendment violation on the school's part and on the police's part. And so, having that support from other protesters who believe the same thing, plus, we're doing sort of a group defense. The whole goal is to try to bring solidarity, try to put pressure on the DA to understand that these violations can't, stand.
And we were provided a statement from the protesters involved, which said, in part, we believe that as students and community members of universities that have historically uplifted, championed, and praised student movements, our demands, grievances, and actions are in step with past movements currently celebrated by these institutions. Now, the attorney that we spoke with today said there were 2 UNC students who are a part of the protesting group that were in court today. Those 2 did receive their degrees. One participated in the commencement a few weeks ago, while one did not, but that attorney again confirming with us that they did in fact receive their degrees. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News, Hillsborough.
It is day 2 of jury deliberations in the criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. The jury is deciding verdicts for 34 charges of falsifying business records. Jay Gray is in Manhattan with where this historic case now stands.
Well, day 2 of deliberations in this high-profile, high-stakes case begins with some unfinished business from day 1. As they wrapped up about 4.5 hours of deliberations yesterday, the jury had a couple of questions. They wanted some key testimony reread, and they also wanted some clarifications as far as the instructions they received from the judge. And so they'll begin today in the courtroom. A court reporter will reread testimony from the first witness in this case, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, and the last witness in this case, Michael Cohen. At issue, it seems, is the idea of this meeting in Trump Tower between former President Trump, Pecker, and Cohen, and the plot to kill a story about an alleged affair. And so that seems to be something they are focused on, and they also have asked for a description of the law that applies to count 1 in this case. So clearly they are starting from the beginning. You know, a lot of people look at this and wonder, well, with these questions, who does it benefit? Is it better for the defense? Is it better for the prosecution? Don't judge anything from this. I've talked to lawyers who have told me both ways. Some have said it's great for the defense. Some have said it's great for the prosecution. I think what it points out is that we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors here. Neither does the former president, who today, as he came back to the courthouse, again blasted the entire process.
I just want to say that this is a very sad day for America. The whole world is watching, and it's a very sad day for New York. I've gone through 2 of these trials already. It's with the same kind of a judge. It's all worked. It's all rigged. The whole thing, the whole system is rigged.
The former president has continued to call this trial politically motivated. He is required to be here inside the courthouse, not in the courtroom, but in the courthouse the entire time this jury is deliberating. Today, the judge says they can go until 6 o'clock this evening as needed. We'll continue to watch the situation here, monitor things. For now, though, I'm Jay Gray in Lower Manhattan. Back to you.
And jurors have agreed to stay late this evening, with court set to wrap up about 6 p.m. And if the 7 men and 5 women have not reached a verdict.
More breaking news this noon. We now know the name of the 16-year-old killed in a crash after a chase on US 301. Asia Holiday died in the crash near Tom Sterling Road, just outside Fayetteville. Nick Perlin reports in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker.
A police chase ended in a crash along this stretch of US 301 in Cumberland County. We're told a 16-year-old was killed in the crash. Now take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, and this is the car that police were chasing early this morning. You can see just the extensive damage to the car. We're told police pulled over the driver of this car because they suspected the car was stolen. That's when the driver allegedly sped away from the police and ended up crashing this car on US 301 near Tom Starling Road after hitting another car on the opposite side of the road. The 16-year-old who died was in this car police were chasing. After the crash, the driver tried to run away from police, but the driver was arrested and taken to the hospital along with another passenger. We're told the driver in the other car that was involved in the crash was not seriously hurt. We're still trying to learn the identity of the 16-year-old who died in this crash, as well as the driver who was arrested. In Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
And again, that 16-year-old's name was Asia Holiday. We'll hear more from Chelsea Donovan coming up in our next half hour on that story. Family, friends, and strangers from far and wide are expected to gather for 2 events in honor of the Garner family, who police say was killed by an impaired driver. Tyler, Susan, and their 8-year-old son, Miles Campbell, did not survive the crash. This afternoon, a walk will take place for Miles from WakeMed Raleigh Hospital on New Bern Avenue. Everyone is asked to gather at 3 at the main hospital entrance. And then on Saturday, a 2-mile run walk will be held at White Deer Park in Garner at 8 a.m. to honor the Campbell family. Participants are asked to wear red or NC State gear for both events.
That poor family. Today at the legislature, North Carolina politicians are sounding the alarm about child care funding. A month from now, daycares across the state will lose hundreds of millions of dollars in federal aid. Hundreds of child care centers could be forced to close unless the state steps in. Democratic lawmakers say the Republican-led legislature isn't taking it seriously. They say GOP leaders are ignoring the child care shortage because Republicans want to spend millions more on private school tuition vouchers instead.
The wise course would be not to fund the vouchers. and to take that money as much as possible and pour it into child care.
Spokespeople for Republican legislative leaders didn't respond to a request for comment this morning, but they have previously said the voucher program is a top priority. But GOP leaders have also said that child care funding might be part of the new budget as well. The state has a $1 billion plus to spend this year. And for more on the budget debates, you can visit NC Capitol, the section of WRAL.com.
A warning about a kid's toy sold with banned parts. This is the Bright Rise Race and Chase Rainbow Musical Tree ball game. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the balls sold with the toy are too small and could choke a child under 3 years old. The manufacturer has been warned about this, but hasn't agreed to a recall. If you have one of these toys, take it away from young children. Australia's Department of Home Affairs is working with Ticketmaster after hackers allegedly stole personal details of more than 500 million customers. The Shiny Hunters hacking group accessed personal information for 560 million Ticketmaster customers worldwide. It is reportedly demanding $500 million in ransom to prevent that information from being sold. Ticketmaster has not confirmed whether it has experienced such a security breach.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news, the Supreme Court has cleared the way for the National Rifle Association lawsuit against an ex-New York State official. This over claims that she violated its free speech rights. This reverses a lower court decision tossing out the NRA's lawsuit against ex-New York State Department's Financial Services Superintendent Maria Vollo. The NRA said Vollo pressured banks and insurance companies to blacklist it after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2018. Vollo argued she rightly investigated NRA-endorsed insurance policies that covered losses caused by firearms and did speak out about the risks of doing business with gun groups, but did not pressure any companies. The NRA fired back, saying her words had significant sway because of her position, and several companies cut ties with the NRA, costing them millions of dollars.
We do want to get you a look at the stock market this afternoon. Not looking good right across the board. Dow Jones down 314 points. It's been kind of moving there, 320 on your screen. In fact, the S&P down looks like about 16 points. The NASDAQ down 88.72.
We might sound like a broken record saying this, but there was another near-miss situation at an airport. Next at noon, hear what went wrong in Washington, D.C. that has the FAA investigating.
Plus, 2 words, moon time. Hear the effort to create a new time scale to track the passing of time on the lunar surface and why America is investigating in this.
Plus, a live report on a high-speed chase with deputies ending up with a teenager killed in Cumberland County. Elizabeth.
It's a pretty afternoon out there. We take a live look at what's going on across our area. And we've got beautiful sunshine here in Durham. It feels great, too. I'll show you how long we'll hold on to this lovely weather pattern.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating another near miss at Washington's Reagan National Airport. This time, an American Airlines plane bound for Boston was forced to abort takeoff after almost colliding with another plane. Air traffic control canceled clearance for the flight because another plane had been cleared to land on an intersecting runway. The plane eventually made it to Boston 4 hours late. This is the second near miss at Reagan in 6 weeks. Today, Boeing is expected to tell federal regulators how it plans to fix its safety and quality problems. The FAA required the company to produce a plan after one of its jetliners suffered a blowout of a fuselage panel during an Alaska Airlines flight in January. We all remember that. Whistleblowers have accused the company of taking shortcuts that endanger passengers. Boeing disputes that claim. A panel convened by the FAA found concerning practices in Boeing's manufacturing process.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news in Holly Springs. We're following reports of a gas leak. Sky 5 is over the scene right now. You can see Holly Springs Fire Department on scene. This is Holly Springs Road and Lassiter Road. You can see they are letting cars go by down to one lane on Holly Springs Road. Dominion Energy, we reached out to them. They say they think this is the gas line may be damaged. They think that's what caused this. But you can see fire officials on scene as well, working to figure out the exact cause of this gas leak. As soon as we have any more information, we'll bring it to you from the Live Center.
Veterans no longer have to pay co-pays for some outpatient mental health care, and the same is true for substance use disorder appointments. The first 3 visits each calendar year will be covered, and that benefit goes through 2027 to improve access to mental health services and decrease out-of-pocket costs.
Taking acetaminophen during pregnancy does not increase the risk of disorders like autism or ADHD. Researchers looked at thousands of siblings and found no difference whether their mom took acetaminophen with one child but not the other while pregnant. They determined there's no link between the medication and an increased risk for neurodevelopmental disorders.
The data is very clear that we can provide these medications and that these are safe medications for moms, and to not feel that guilt or shame around taking these medications if you need to is really critical, and knowing that it's important to keep your own health in line.
So essentially, it's okay to take Tylenol if you are pregnant and unsure of which medications to take or how much. Consult with your doctor.
After some setbacks, Boeing's first astronaut flight is scheduled to happen on Saturday. That first launch attempt earlier this month was scrapped. That's because of a helium leak. After reviewing the spacecraft, officials say the Starliner capsule can fly 2 pilots to the International Space Station safely. Saturday's flight will be the 3rd test flight for Starliner. All right, so if I asked you the time, you'd probably say, what is it? 12:17. But the response would be different if, say, we were on the moon. The difference is why the White House is directing NASA to develop a new time scale. The expectation is for American astronauts to explore the moon in 2026 for the first time in decades. And because seconds go faster on the moon, NASA is tasked with making a new time scale. The hope is America and its international partners agree on a time scale and have that in place by the end of 2026.
So our time in moon time. The UNC Health Championship returns to Raleigh today. The professional golf tournament helps to build buzz around golf in our state just before the start of the U.S. Open in Pinehurst next month. Legendary basketball coach Roy Williams will serve as honorary chairman of this year's UNC Health Championship. Proceeds from this year's tournament will support NC Children's Hospital. The event runs through Sunday. Speaking of golf, the 79th U.S. Women's Open kicks off today in Pennsylvania. This year's purse is the largest payout in all of women's golf to date. We're talking $12 million. Make sure to tune in to WRAL this weekend for full coverage of the tournament. That starts at 3 p.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. on Sunday.
A lot of golf stuff happening in North Carolina, and what a day to do it today, too. We looked out at Southern Pines earlier. It's beautiful outside. Same is true behind us here at Dix Park, and also true at Lake Gaston with Elizabeth Gardner getting you. Look at you, Vanna Whiting there for us. As beautiful as outside.
Don't you wish you were here? Oh my goodness, look at this, so pretty. Beautiful blue sky, those puffy cumulus clouds, and people are all lined up here, tied up at the dock at the Point Restaurant. That's where we get our view from here, so thanks to them. And yeah, you look at that and it just makes you feel like summer, doesn't it? The one thing about it is, you know, it's not that warm. 76 degrees right now. We have a northeast wind at 9 miles per hour, and that's why the temperatures are cooler, and the humidity is pretty much non-existent right now. That northeast wind is bringing us a flow that's much cooler and drier than we saw, say, over the weekend when our flow was coming out of the southwest and out of the Gulf of Mexico. We'll see temperatures in the low 80s, and there'll be plenty of great boating days to come. It warms up a little bit more over the weekend, and next week looks really warm too, but very pleasant this afternoon. 81 in Raleigh, 79 in Durham, and 83 degrees in Fayetteville. It's going to be a cool night tonight. Overnight last night, with early this morning, our temperatures were a little closer to 60. We could see slightly cooler temperatures this morning, or tomorrow morning, I should say. 54 in Durham, maybe as cool as 49 in Roxborough, 54 in Rocky Mount, 57 in Wilson. I mean, you know, if you're wearing short sleeves, which you'll want to, you know, for later in the afternoon, and you're outside for long, you might want just a light jacket or, you know, long sleeve shirt on. 53 in Robbins, 56 in Southern Pines, 59 Fayetteville, 57 in Goldsboro. It is going to feel crisp tomorrow morning, and it will still feel nice and cool over the weekend mornings as well. On Saturday morning, the Durham Animal Protection Society is having their Walk for the Animals. Really fun event. Kat Campbell will be emceeing the event. Starts at 9 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 60s at that point, and then really pleasant in the afternoon too. 1 o'clock, 79 degrees, feeling great. And then maybe you're headed to the International Festival in downtown Raleigh. It starts at 11 and ends at 8. Temperatures will be in the low 80s during the afternoon. But at 11 o'clock, it's still going to be very pleasant at 74 degrees. The blue color contour area is where temperatures are below normal, and it really stays that way up until around Sunday. By Sunday, we start to see temperatures close to normal, and then we creep up a little above normal once we get into next week. The dew point has been amazing. Earlier this morning, we dropped it down to, I think, 47, which is almost unheard of at the end of May. It just feels so wonderful. This number is the measure of moisture in the atmosphere, and the lower it is, the more comfortable it feels, the less muggy and sticky. But look at this. By Tuesday, we are likely to jump all the way up to tropical, and it will be a slow climb starting tomorrow. And the weekend will be fine. It just may not be quite as comfortable as what we're seeing now. 79 for tomorrow, 83 Saturday, 85 Sunday, and then we're back to temperatures in the upper 80s by the time we get to Wednesday. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about our precipitation. We'll take a look at the brand new drought monitor that came in just a little while ago.
Elizabeth, thanks. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, 8 new assistant public defenders have been sworn in at the Halifax County Courthouse in a court system with some of the longest wait times in our state. We'll look into where those attorneys came from and how the county was able to get them so quickly.
And then at 5 p.m., a pair of recalls are being investigated by federal authorities. 5 on your side shows us what's under review in this month's recall report. And Amazon Prime members are getting new perks with their membership as the e-commerce giant partners with Grubhub. We'll explain the benefits coming for existing members looking to order a bite to eat.
And a man charged with driving without a license shows up to Zoom court while behind the wheel. More on the strict punishment for doubling down on his crime. Welcome back. It is 12:24. Let's take you to the North Carolina coast and a live look at Carolina Beach. And look at all those people sticking out their spot in the sand. Beautiful weather today. If you can head on out there. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Many older Americans are concerned their student loan debt might get in the way of their retirement. About 2 million people over the age of 55 still have outstanding student loan debt, and they fear they won't be able to retire comfortably. This comes as a growing number of Americans are questioning a college degree and if it's even worth it.
If you pay for Amazon Prime, you're now getting an extra perk. Free food delivery from Grubhub. Amazon is embedding Grubhub into its website and the Amazon shopping app. Prime members will pay no delivery fees on orders of $12 or more. They'll also get lower service fees and 5% back on pickup orders. Grubhub connects people to about 307,000 restaurants, grocery, and convenience stores. Nearly 2 million bottles of Fiji water sold through Amazon have been recalled because of elevated levels of manganese. That's a mineral found in water, soil, and air, but overexposure can cause neurological problems. The cases of the water have production dates of November 11th, 12th, 13th, 24th, or 25th of 2003. The FDA says the product is not likely to cause adverse health consequences, but throw out the water if you have it and contact Fiji for a refund.
Minutes from now, a live report on the chase with police in Cumberland County that ended with a teenager killed. Hear what police are saying about this.
Plus, an American flag flown upside down led to calls for a Supreme Court justice to recuse himself from cases involving former President Trump. Hear why that justice refuses to do that. First, here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Thanks for staying with us. We want to go right back to that breaking news story we first reported in our first half hour. Authorities in Cumberland County have identified the 16-year-old passenger who died after a high-speed chase.
Asia Holiday died after the crash. Police arrested a man who they say was driving a stolen car. The crash happened at Highway 301 South near Tom Starling Road, and that's where we find WRAL's Chelsea Donovan. Chelsea.
Yeah, Renee and Krista, that high-speed chase ended right here, as you mentioned, on Highway 301 South. You can see that crime scene tape is still attached to the stop sign. This all took place around 12:30 this morning, and we understand that the chase reached speeds of over 115 miles per hour. Now, right around that time, officers with the Fayetteville Police Department located a car that was reported stolen in Fayetteville. Police said officers were attempting to pull over the car driven by 21-year-old Donovan Rozier, who lives in Fayetteville, when he fled the scene. Now, as officers were chasing the car, it crashed going the wrong way on US 301 near Tom Starling Road. Now, while attempting to flee, the driver crashed into another car. Police said the driver got out of the car and tried to run away. Asia Holiday, that 16-year-old that you mentioned, she was in the suspect's car and was ejected and killed in the crash. The two men in the stolen car were also taken to the hospital. Police said the man driving the stolen car is expected to be charged with involuntary manslaughter. Now, we know that he faces an involuntary manslaughter charge as well as driving with a revoked license and several more charges, including going speeds of more than 55 miles per hour. We should mention that the Highway Patrol is investigating this crash, and Fayetteville police says they will soon start an internal investigation to investigate the actions of their officers. Chelsea Donovan, live in Fayetteville, WRAL News.
Carborough police are searching for the person who shot and killed a man outside an apartment complex just before midnight. Police spent over 5 hours searching for evidence outside the complex on Estes Drive. They received a call about this shooting around 11:45 last night. And when they arrived, they found a man shot to death. Right now, police believe this was an isolated situation. Durham police say someone shot a man during an armed robbery at a gas station. That happened at the BP on Durham Chapel Hill Boulevard just after 9:30 last night. Police say the man who was shot was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Authorities have not announced any arrests in that case. Durham City Council will continue to review the proposed budget for this upcoming fiscal year at a special work session today. This is the second day of in-person meetings to go over the budget, which included increased compensation for city employees and capital improvement projects. Today's work session began around 9 o'clock in the City Hall Committee room. It was supposed to be live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a public hearing is set for next Monday at 7 p.m.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is refusing to recuse himself as the Supreme Court prepares to release its biggest decisions of the year, including some involving former President Trump. Congressional Democrats targeted the justice for controversial flags his wife flew at their homes. Caroline Shively reports this comes as the High Court is expected to hand down several rulings.
As the Supreme Court released a number of decisions on Thursday with more on the way, Justice Samuel Alito faces calls to recuse himself from pending decisions involving former President Donald Trump and January 6th rioters. That's because of this, an upside-down American flag flown over his home in 2021 right after the attack on the Capitol, as first reported by the New York Times. The flipped flag has become a symbol of those who back Trump's false claims the 2020 election was stolen.
He can't play fast and loose with these political symbols without jeopardizing his own integrity.
Alito responded in a letter to Congress on Wednesday, saying his wife hung the flag outside their Northern Virginia home after a personal attack on her from a neighbor, writing, "I was not even aware of the upside-down flag until it was called to my attention. As soon as I saw it, I asked my wife to take it down, but for several days she refused." Alito also addressed this appeal to heaven flag that flew over the couple's vacation home. The flag dates back to the Revolutionary War, but has recently become popular among Christian nationalists. The justice says his wife bought and paid for the house and has a right to fly what she wants there.
The idea that a Supreme Court justice would have to respond to any kind of suggestion from Democrat senators that he should recuse himself because of such demonstrations that are completely covered by the First Amendment is absolutely absurd.
That was Caroline Shively reporting. The Supreme Court will likely release its decisions on Trump's presidential immunity and the Capitol rioters in the next few weeks.
Former President Donald Trump is considering tapping billionaire Elon Musk as a policy advisor if the Republican presidential candidate reclaims the White House. This is according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. The two have discussed ways for Musk to have formal input and influence over economic and border security policies. In March, Musk told Trump that he would not donate money to either candidate. However, he would use his influence to help defeat Biden.
Smoked tobacco, no matter what form, is harmful to your health. Up next, why hookah and cigars are just as bad for you as cigarettes.
And an incredible example of not letting your circumstances limit you. The backstory of this student who rose to valedictorian in his inspiring message to the graduates. Just a reminder, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. Look at this dramatic live video of a volcano erupting in Iceland right now. This is in Grindavik. This volcano erupted for the 5th time since December. It erupted yesterday. It also led to the closure of the popular Blue Lagoon geothermal spa. That was evacuated. Grindavik, the town, was also evacuated because of this lava. Barriers built to protect the town deflected that flowing lava. Workers and anyone there has been ordered to leave.
Thank you, Michelle. Tomorrow marks World No Tobacco Day. Whether it's traditional cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, hookahs, or cigars, each has proven to be detrimental to a person's health. As Dee Dee Stipend reports, when it comes to tobacco, well, there's no lesser evil, some say.
Smoked tobacco has the strongest association with cancer, and it goes beyond cigarettes.
Hookah, which is a smoked and inhaled tobacco, has a similar cancer risk because it's the process of smoking and inhaling those 7,000 chemicals that increases the risk for cancer.
Mayo Clinic's Dr. John Ebert says there's no safe or safer way to consume tobacco. A common misconception is that cigars are less harmful than cigarettes.
And all the same risks that you get with cigars that you inhale are exactly the same risks you have with conventional cigarettes.
He says even cigar users who tend to not inhale are still at risk.
So if you smoke a cigar and just hold it in your mouth and exhale, all the tissues in your mouth that are exposed to the cigar smoke have an increased risk for cancer.
Head and neck cancers are more common in people who smoke cigars, as well as those who use smokeless tobacco, which is also associated with pancreatic and kidney cancer.
And with electronic cigarettes specifically, we don't have enough longitudinal data to know whether those products are associated strongly with cancer. But we do know that those products result in the release of carbonyls and heavy metals, and those are known theoretically to lead to cancer.
A stroke patient left paralyzed and unable to speak can now communicate in 2 languages thanks to an AI brain implant. The patient received it back in 2019 and could only use English to communicate. Scientists at the University of California in San Francisco discovered a way to train it using AI so that the patient can speak in his native language. Researchers hope this technology will offer new hope to bilingual people with paralysis.
They have served our country with honor, and now a local roofing and construction company is serving them. We'll talk live with the owners of A&M Roofing and Construction about their free roof for veterans program.
A homeless teenager in New Orleans is headed to college after overcoming incredible odds. His inspiring words to others who might find themselves in a similar situation.
So this is incredible. A local Vietnam veteran received a free roof this morning. That was thanks to a Raleigh roofing company known for giving back to its community, especially veterans. He was nominated by his family, and today A&M Premier Roofing and Construction made it happen. Look at that work right there on your screen. Owners Leonardo Almeida and Stephen Moe are here to talk about their free roofing program, NC Roofs for Veterans. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to replace that roof. Why'd you do it?
Well, we're proud to be a veteran-owned and operated company. In fact, more than 60% of our company is comprised of veterans. I myself am a former Recon Marine. Shout out to Recon. I love you guys. But part of our company's mission is to give back to those in need. And as a roofing company, we can think of no better way of doing that than to build a free roof for a veteran every quarter. So that's what we're doing.
So, Leonardo, tell me a little bit more about the NC Roofs for Veteran program. How exactly do you select the person who's going to get this roof?
So first, I want to congratulate our winner today for getting that free roof. Everything went really well. We did have to do a full redeck, but thankfully we were able to provide all the best products. Thankfully for our partners, GAF and SRS, we could not do this without their support. So we're bringing a lot of nominations online through our website and through Habitat for Humanity. This program keeps growing. We've been given consistently a roof every quarter, and just want to thank God for all the the opportunities that He's been giving us to provide for the community and help all these veterans that are in need that sacrifice for our country.
Taking the blessings that He's giving you and spreading it to others. I love that. So when should we mention that you guys also had a fun night with NASCAR? Talk a little bit about that. I think it was over Memorial Day, included Johnny, Leonardo. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So we had a blast. We're actually the sponsor for NASCAR Truck Series, driver Spencer Boyd. Spencer and his team actually put all the veterans' names right on the back of their truck. So it's pretty cool to see.
Oh, that must be awesome for you to have that. And real quickly, Stephen, tell everyone how exactly they can nominate. I'm sure people are watching this going, oh man, I know a vet in my life. How can they go through this process to possibly get someone a roof for someone they love?
Yeah, well, we want to thank WRAL because the last time we were on here, a veteran's wife saw our news spot and she wrote a handwritten letter to us and we were able to go out and replace their roof for them. Now, you don't need to write us a handwritten letter. You can simply go to our website, www.amprco.com, and click on Nominate a Veteran. It's just that easy.
Do me a favor, paint me a picture. What was the reaction when they saw that roof?
I mean, I cried. They cried. We all cried.
Yeah.
I believe it. You know, again, when I hear something like this is something, again, you don't have to do it, but you're doing it because I wager you probably know people who have had to struggle. And so when you see this, you're able to provide them, you're giving someone a very necessary thing, a literal roof above their heads.
Yeah. We're super thankful that we're able to do it. So.
And we're thankful you guys came on and talked to us about it. And maybe somebody else will see this interview and possibly reach out to someone else they know. So I appreciate it, Leonardo Almeida and Stephen Mole. Thank you so much for helping local veterans. This is very necessary what you do, and I hope that someone's watching this right now. If you know someone who is in need of a new roof, you can nominate them at amprco.com. Renee?
We hope they get a lot of nominations, and what a wonderful way to pay tribute and say thank you to our veterans by providing them a new roof. That is so wonderful. And
yes.
Yeah, look at these beautiful pictures all around town. Gorgeous skies and gorgeous weather, Elizabeth.
It is incredible this morning when everybody stepped out the door. It just felt fantastic. Our dew point is really low. The dew point number is the measure of moisture in the atmosphere, and it's really low for this time of year. This is something that we would typically see maybe in early spring or mid to late fall, but so pretty out there. There's a live look at Goldsboro and Apex. Lots of people out and about enjoying this pretty weather. You can see that at Chapel Hill too, out on their bikes, walking around near campus there at Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant, and people strolling up and down Hay Street there in Fayetteville as well. You want to get out and enjoy it while you can, because this time of year, this sort of weather is not going to last. As a matter of fact, I mean, this could be the last time that we see dew points this low until we get into the fall. Here's satellite and radar, and you can see some showers and thunderstorms that are down in the deep south, close to where that front is stationary. Some of this moisture will start to lift back into our area by the time we get to early next week, but we have a number of days left to enjoy this. There's a high pressure system sitting over the Great Lakes right now. High pressure systems rotate clockwise, so that high is pushing down some cool, dry air right into North Carolina. And again, this time of year, we don't always see that happening. And this tends to happen, spring, fall, but not always as we're moving into a more summer-like pattern. One thing that I'll say about today, it's sunny right now, but there's a tiny disturbance that's going to move into the northern part of the viewing area after dinner time, and that may bring a sprinkle or two. It'll be in and out really quickly, and it's not going to have an effect on our daylight hours today or tomorrow. We have a big dip here in the jet stream, and again, that flow coming out of the north is allowing all that cool air to come down as far south as North Carolina for today. But watch what happens tomorrow. It dives a lot farther south, so we get a reinforcing shot of some even cooler, drier air for tomorrow. Tomorrow's high temperatures may stay in the 70s. But then all of this will push eastward, as it always does, and then we start to see some of that moisture that's back to our west up the Mississippi Valley beginning to creep into our area as we get into early next week. Saturday still feels nice. Sunday, we'll go from 83 Saturday to 85 Sunday, slightly more muggy, and then, we're kind of in that summer pattern for next week. But beautiful weather, really, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we are dry, too, for the next 5 days. And, of course, we've had some precipitation out there for May. It's been pretty heavy. And of course, we're going to talk more about that in a second. But take a look at the tropical satellite. The hurricane season begins on Saturday, so we are close to it. But everything is quiet right now. Even along the coast, the rip current risk right now is moderate up around Nags Head. All the rain that we've had during the month of May has really wiped the slate clean in terms of our drought status. This came in just a little while ago. We have this tiny little corner, northeast North Carolina, still showing the potential for some abnormally dry conditions. And how does that look? We'll likely have average precipitation as we get through the middle of June, but our temperatures do start to warm up. Again, beautiful today, tomorrow, Saturday. Creeps up a little Sunday, and then we're a little bit hotter and stickier for the middle of next week. But even then, our chances for rain are minimal, just 20% each afternoon.
Elizabeth, thanks. Busted by Zoom.
This is a driver with license suspended.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving.
We can't make this up. Coming up, how this virtual court hearing led to a real penalty.
Don't tell on yourself. All right, and a look at your winning Powerball numbers: 17, 34, 56, 60, 61. The Powerball is 9, and the Power Play is 2.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
A teenager accused of stabbing a fellow student at Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School is now charged as an adult. Taekwondo General is accused of killing Delvin Farrell back in November. Now, General's family did appeal this decision, but a Superior Court judge upheld the decision to try him as an adult last week. General will need to request an arraignment date, or the court will enter a not guilty plea on his behalf.
It's been 1 month since protesters clashed with police on UNC's campus in Chapel Hill. 6 of those protesters arrested made their first court appearance in Orange County today. The group of 6 were never called up before the court. Judge Todd Roper called the attorneys into his chambers to continue these cases to July 30th to get more evidence.
The New York jury in former President Donald Trump's historic criminal hush money trial is deliberating for a second day. Per their request, the jurors read back key witness testimony from Michael Cohen and David Pecker, as well as portions of the judge's instructions on the law. The jury must be unanimous on each of the 34 counts the former president is facing.
A high school senior in New Orleans defied the odds, graduating at the top of the class. He achieved the honor of valedictorian while homeless. Elijah Hogan's mother died when he was 8. His family lives out of state, so he lived at a shelter that provided a place to stay for youth who are homeless. This week, Elijah graduated with a 3.89 GPA. He delivered the commencement address, telling his peers not to let others define who they are.
This go out to all African-American children, teens included. Despite where you are or the area you in, even though it may look bad and down, there are moments where there will be people that will give you a guiding hand to help get you through. So take that opportunity.
Such a wise young man. Elijah has a full ride to Xavier University in the fall, where he will major in graphic design.
Okay, so in the 90s, there was a television show. It was titled America's Dumbest Criminals. If you're too young to remember, well, there might be a modern day example of the type of people featured.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Okay, so that probably doesn't seem like a crime, right? Plot twist. The man driving was zooming into his court hearing on a charge of driving without a license. The man's decision left the judge in disbelief. Look at his face. Look at the judge's face in the top right. And it prompted some laughing in the courtroom. The judge revoked his bond and ordered the driver to turn himself into the authorities. I'm not sure if that was after the doctor's visit or not, but he had to do that at some point. And upon hearing the judge's order, the 44-year-old sighs and said, "Oh my gosh." His next hearing is scheduled for June 5th. And I'm going to imagine he's going to get a ride to that.
The judge's face, though, is just what gets me. Look at it. It's like, are you serious?
The audacity, I think, is the thoughts in that judge's head.
Oh, that has people talking. Our pet of the day from the SPCA of Wake County is a handsome 5-year-old Lilac Point Siamese cat. Jack looks dapper in a hat. He was surrendered to the shelter when his owner couldn't keep him, so he's still a little nervous due to the recent changes. And once he settles in, he's right back to being himself. Jack loves catnip, taking long naps, getting his head rubbed. You can contact spcawake.org to meet Jack. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
And just a reminder, you can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.